The night air was cool and carried the gentle hum of distant Lagos traffic. Strings of golden fairy lights draped across the entrance of the Amber Hall, one of the city's most luxurious event venues. Expensive cars lined the driveway, their polished exteriors gleaming under the floodlights. Tonight was supposed to be a grand celebration, the 60th birthday of Chief Olawale Balogun, a prominent businessman and community figure. Inside, the hall glittered with extravagance. Round tables were covered in silky white linens, adorned with bouquets of fresh orchids. A live band played soft jazz while elegantly dressed guests mingled, sipping champagne and exchanging pleasantries. The atmosphere was alive with laughter, pride, and a touch of envy, the kind that often lingers in wealthy gatherings. But amid all the splendor, there was a brewing storm that no one could see coming. Standing nervously outside the entrance was Amara Balogun, Chief Olawale's first daughter. She had not been invited, but tonight she had decided to show up anyway. Amara's childhood had been complicated. Her mother, Ngozi, was Olawale's first wife, a kind-hearted woman who had given up her dreams to support her husband's ambitions. But years ago, after Olawale rose to wealth, he divorced Ngozi abruptly and married Titi, a glamorous woman nearly 20 years younger. From that moment, Amara and her mother were pushed to the margins of Olawale's life like old furniture no longer needed. Amara had been just 16 when the divorce happened. Now, at 25, she was a woman in her own right, independent, resilient, and determined never to be defined by her father's rejection. She wore a simple but elegant navy blue gown tonight, her natural hair swept into a bun. She wasn't here to start trouble, she just wanted to honor her father's milestone, despite everything. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the hall. Almost immediately, heads turned. Conversations paused mid-sentence as guests eyed her curiously. She spotted her father across the room, laughing heartily with friends. For a moment, she felt a small spark of hope, maybe he would be happy to see her. Maybe things could change. But before she could approach him, Titi, her stepmother, swooped in like a hawk. Dressed in a sparkling gold gown, Titi's beauty was striking, but her eyes were sharp and cold. "What are you doing here?" Titi's voice was low but venomous. Amara swallowed hard. I came to celebrate, Dad. I just wanted to." "You weren't invited," Titi cut in, her tone dripping with disdain. "Leave before you embarrass yourself." Amara clenched her fists but kept her voice calm. "I'm not here to cause a scene. I just want to greet my father. That's all." But Titi wasn't having it. She glanced toward a group of uniformed security guards stationed at the edge of the hall. "Security," she called sharply, raising her manicured hand. The room went silent. Guests turned to watch as the guards approached. Even the band's music faltered and faded. Olawale finally noticed the commotion. "What's going on here?" he asked, his jovial expression replaced with a frown. Titi didn't flinch. "This girl," she said, gesturing at Amara as if she were filth, "is trespassing. I told you, Chief, we didn't invite her for a reason. She has no place here." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some people recognized Amara, whispering her name. Others were simply intrigued by the drama unfolding before them. Olawale's face hardened as his gaze fell on his daughter. "Amara, you shouldn't have come," he said coldly. The words stung worse than a slap. Still, Amara tried to reason with him. "Daddy, please. I just wanted to see you, to wish you a happy birthday. That's all." But Titi interjected before Olawale could respond. "Guards, remove her. Now." The guards hesitated, glancing between Olawale and Titi for confirmation. Finally, with a dismissive wave of his hand, Olawale gave his silent approval. "Come with us, ma'am," one guard said, his tone firm but not unkind. As they escorted her toward the exit, Amara's heart pounded. Heat rose to her cheeks as she realized every single guest was watching. Some had pity in their eyes, others, amusement. She felt like a child again, unwanted, discarded. Halfway to the door, something inside her snapped. She stopped walking and turned to face the room. "Do you know what it feels like," she began, her voice trembling but loud enough to carry, "to be rejected by your own father? To watch him replace your mother with a stranger and pretend you never existed?" A hush fell over the hall. Even the guards froze. Amara's gaze locked on Allowale. "I came here tonight to show love, despite everything you've done to me and Mama. But clearly, you would rather see me dragged out like a criminal." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A few guests looked uncomfortable, shifting in their seats. TT scoffed. "Enough of this melodrama. Guards, do your job." But before they could move, a deep, commanding voice cut through the tension. "Let her speak." Everyone turned toward the source of the voice, an elderly man sitting near the front, Chief Adekunle, one of Allowale's longtime business associates. His stern expression demanded respect. Allowale hesitated, then reluctantly nodded for Amara to continue. Amara took a shaky breath. She hadn't planned to reveal this tonight, but she refused to leave humiliated. "Do you all know where we are standing right now?" she asked, sweeping her hand around the hall. "This beautiful building, this lavish event space, it doesn't belong to my father. It doesn't belong to TT either." Confused murmurs rose among the guests. Amara's voice grew steadier. "It belongs to me." The words hit like a thunderclap. "Lies!" TT spat, her face twisting in rage. "How dare you claim such nonsense?" But Amara held her ground. "I have the documents to prove it. After the divorce, Mama and I worked tirelessly to rebuild our lives. Mama opened a small bakery. I started a catering company while studying business. Slowly, we saved enough to invest, and this hall was our biggest project yet. We bought it 3 years ago, under my company's name." From her clutch bag, Amara pulled out a neatly folded set of papers and held them high. "These are the ownership documents. This hall, Amber Hall, is mine. And tonight, you tried to throw me out of my own building." The entire room erupted in shocked exclamations. Some guests stood to get a better view. The security guards looked bewildered, unsure what to do. Allowale's face drained of color. For the first time that evening, he looked small, almost vulnerable. TT, however, wasn't ready to back down. "This is ridiculous. You're just trying to humiliate us. Allowale, say something." But Allowale remained silent, his mind clearly racing. Chief Adekunle rose slowly to his feet. "If what this young woman says is true," he said gravely, "then she has every right to be here. Perhaps even more right than anyone else." He turned to the guards. "Stand down." The guards immediately released Amara and stepped back. Amara squared her shoulders, her confidence returning. "I didn't come here to shame anyone," she said, her voice soft but firm. "But you will not treat me and my mother like trash anymore. Not in this hall, and not in my life." For the first time all evening, the room erupted into applause, hesitant at first, then growing stronger. TT's face burned red with fury. She grabbed Allowale's arm. "Are you just going to let her embarrass us like this?" But Allowale shook her off. His gaze locked on Amara, a storm of guilt and regret swirling in his eyes. "Amara," he began slowly, "why didn't you tell me? Why did you hide this from me?" Amara met his gaze evenly. "Because you never cared enough to ask." The room fell silent once again, the weight of her words sinking deep. The applause faded into a tense, brittle silence. Allowale stood frozen, staring at his daughter as though seeing her for the first time. His once commanding voice trembled slightly when he finally spoke. "Amara," he said, his tone uncertain, this can't be how things are between us. You are my firstborn. I never wanted it to come to this." Amara gave a bitter laugh, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. Never wanted it to come to this? Daddy, you left Mama and me with nothing. We begged you to help when Mama got sick and couldn't pay her medical bills. You didn't even return our calls. You were too busy playing house with TT. Gasps rippled through the crowd. TT shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting to the guests. She's lying, she snapped. Allawale, don't listen to her. She's just trying to make you look bad. Amara's jaw tightened. Mama died in a cramped one-room apartment because we couldn't afford proper treatment. She spent her last days wondering why the man she gave her life to couldn't even visit her once. Do you know what it feels like to hold your mother's hand while she whispers apologies for dying too soon? Her voice cracked, tears glistening in her eyes. The guests sat in stunned silence, some openly weeping. Even the live band members bowed their heads. Allawale's hands trembled. He tried to speak but no words came out. The weight of her revelation seemed to crush him. Amara continued, her voice raw but steady. After Mama's funeral, I swore I'd never beg anyone for help again. I worked day and night, saving every naira I could. When this hall went up for sale, I bought it in her memory. She dreamed of a place where families could come together, where no one would ever feel unwanted. Her gaze swept across the room, finally landing on TT. And tonight, in that very hall, you tried to humiliate me. But you forget something, stepmother, I'm not a helpless teenager anymore. TT's facade cracked. Her hands balled into fists as whispers filled the room, some guests casting judgmental looks her way. This is madness, she screeched. Allawale, do something. But Allawale didn't move. His face was pale, his eyes brimming with tears. Slowly, he sank into a chair, burying his face in his hands. Chief Adekunle stepped forward, his voice solemn. Allawale, for years we've watched you build wealth and influence. But tonight, we see the cost of your ambition. You've gained the world but lost your family. The older man turned to Amara. My dear, your mother would be proud. Not just for what you've built, but for standing tall in the face of cruelty. Amara swallowed hard, her throat aching. Thank you, sir. That's all I ever wanted, to make her proud. The atmosphere in the hall shifted. Some guests began applauding softly, while others murmured about Allawale's neglect. Finally, Allawale lifted his head. His voice was hoarse as he addressed his daughter. Amara, I failed you. I failed your mother. I don't deserve forgiveness, but please, don't hate me forever. Amara's expression softened for a brief moment, but then she shook her head. Forgiveness isn't a gift you ask for, Daddy. It's something you earn. She turned to leave, her back straight and unyielding. As she reached the doorway, she paused and looked over her shoulder. Oh, and TT? Starting tomorrow, you'll need to find another venue for your parties. This hall will no longer host events for people who thrive on humiliating others. With that, she walked out, leaving a stunned silence behind her. Allawale sat trembling, realizing he had just lost the one thing money could never buy back, his daughter's trust. The grand hall remained frozen in heavy silence long after Amara's footsteps faded. The guests were visibly shaken, whispering among themselves about the drama they had just witnessed. TT stood stiffly beside Allawale, her chest heaving with rage and humiliation. You're just going to sit there? She hissed, grabbing his arm. Allawale, everyone is watching. We can't let her leave like this. She made a fool of you, of us. Allawale gently pried her hand off his sleeve. For the first time in years, his voice was calm but commanding. Be silent, TT. The tone startled her. She had never heard him speak like that before. He rose slowly to his feet, his posture weary, like a man carrying decades of regret. The crowd instinctively fell silent. His eyes, red-rimmed and heavy with guilt, swept across the hall before resting on Chief Adekunle. Chief, Allowale began, voice shaking, you've been my friend for over 30 years. You saw me rise from a small trader to where I am today. But you also saw the choices I made, choices that hurt the people who loved me most. Chief Adekunal's expression was somber. Yes, Allowale. And I warned you, riches can build a house, but they cannot build a home. Allowale closed his eyes briefly, a deep sigh escaping his lips. I thought I was doing what was best for my family. When I divorced Ngozi, I told myself it was for love, for happiness. But it was selfishness, nothing more. I abandoned my wife and daughter because I wanted an easier life, a life free of responsibility and sacrifice. He opened his eyes, his voice growing stronger. And in the end, I lost them both. The room was silent. Even Titi, who had been fuming moments earlier, stood pale and motionless. Suddenly, Titi exploded. You can't blame me for this, she cried, her voice shrill. You wanted me, Allowale. You chased me. You gave me everything, and I gave you a better image, a better life. That girl, she spat the word out like poison, is just jealous because she couldn't have what I have. Amara, who had been listening quietly near the doorway, turned back slowly. Her gaze was steady, almost pitying. What you have, TT, isn't love or respect. It's fear. And it ends tonight. The crowd murmured, their sympathies clearly shifting. Allowale looked at Titi, truly seeing her for the first time, not the glamorous woman he had married, but the selfish, calculating person she really was. His voice was low but firm. Titi, leave. This party is over. Titi froze, her eyes widening. What did you just say? You heard me, Allowale said coldly. Leave. And don't come back. Gasps erupted around the hall. Titi's face twisted in rage and disbelief. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, pushing past guests who turned their backs on her in disgust. Once she was gone, Allowale turned to Amara. His voice cracked as he spoke. Amara, please. I can't change the past, but I want to change what's left of the future. Give me a chance to be part of your life again. I don't want to die a man full of regret. Amara studied him for a long moment. Her eyes softened, but her stance remained firm. You don't get to just step back into my life because it's convenient for you now, she said quietly. You have to prove that you're different. Words are easy, Daddy. Actions matter. Allowale nodded, tears streaming down his face. Then I will prove it. Even if it takes the rest of my days. Amara took a deep breath. I won't forgive you today. Maybe not even tomorrow. But I'll give you space to try. Just remember what Mama taught us, that family isn't built on wealth, but on love and sacrifice. The hall erupted in applause, not for the drama, but for the truth in her words. As Amara walked out into the night, a cool breeze washed over her. She looked up at the sky, whispering softly, We did it, Mama. This place is ours. Behind her, Allowale remained in the hall, staring at the empty stage, realizing that no amount of gold or power could erase the pain he had caused. The guests left in silence, each carrying a lesson. Wealth may open doors, but only love keeps them from closing. For Allowale and Amara, the path to healing had just begun, fragile, uncertain, but finally real.